Bhaskar, sir, Senior Lecturer, Database Specialization, would ask Salalah to give the welcome address. Thank you, sir. Over to Bhaskar, sir.
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's session of Rapid Application Development using Oracle Apex 20.2c. At this juncture, I would like to thank our college dean, Dr. Mohammad Rashid Al Mamri, our assistant dean for academic affairs, Dr. Nasir Salim Al Kalbani, and our dear department head, Dr. Fatima Al Shanfari, for giving us an opportunity to share the knowledge on this digital platform. You know, teaching is learning, and without learning, there is no teaching. And also, teaching is listening, and learning is talking. Let us do the both to make the session interactive. Now, I invite Mr. Suresh Kumar, lecturer, database facilitation, to introduce our facilitator, Mr. Hansel. God bless you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker of the day, Mr. Hansel Delos Santos, who is going to present rapid application development using Oracle Apex 20.2c. As the title suggests, we can develop web applications using the tool, using this platform very rapidly as compared to other web technologies, especially when it comes to database-driven applications and when it comes to using Oracle as our backend. Our speaker of the day, Mr. Hansel, he has developed ARMS, which stands for Academic Record Management System, the software that we have been using uh, uh, for last many years in our college, and it is working very well. Mr. Hansel is one of the first Dean's Honor awardee. He was awarded Dean's Honor in academic year 2013, and that speaks volume of his dedication and quality work that he put in. As far Oracle Apex is concerned, Mr. Hansel, he is a certified Oracle Apex professional. So it will be great to learn from him the platform Oracle Apex. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Sir Hansel. Sir Hansel, over to you, please.
Thank you very much. It's a wonderful introduction. Okay, allow me to share my desktop, right? My screen. Okay. Okay, wonderful day to each everyone. It's my privilege also and honored to be here with you as a presenter, particularly in this technology, which is the Oracle Apex 20.2c. And this time, okay, let me just run through with my PPT. Okay, today we're gonna be having this Rapid Application Express development using an Oracle Apex 20.2c, which partly will be another tools for us to be added from our skills. Even we don't have a heavy background when it comes to database, particularly in SQL, right? This will be our objectives. We're going to be developing a working prototype today, and this application will be based on the database in the Oracle Express. Topics will be covered as part of the agenda, of course, giving um, Oracle Apex overview and what are the new features, particularly now with the new release of Apex 20.2c, and how we could start up with jumping directly from Oracle Apex. And pretty much we will be also having some familiarization of this IDE, which is the integrated development environment of this Oracle Apex 20.2. And later we'll do some demonstration with an actual mini project that we'll be developing, and that will cover this 1 to 12 activities that we'll start with by creating a schema using just barely with your MS Excel file. And From that Excel file, we will going to create your first application, of course, and working with some basic forms and reports. Along with that one, we'll be doing some customizations of page
Okay.
emotions,
No
page
problem.
items, breadcrumbs, navigation,
Shall I mute?
and some of the
Okay.
list of values or the LOVs. Working on that particular page as well, particularly when it comes to forms, of course, forms will not be completed without some validations. So we will see how very simple working on Oracle Apex, particularly on working on dynamic action along with the validation. And with this also, creating master detail is one of the a quite difficult part of the development when it comes to other platform. But when we will see here over our webinar, we will even see how complex and how easy and fast to work with the master detail from this, because normally our schema is now pretty much it's normalized. So we need to get some information coming from different sources of our table. And along with that one, interactive report is one of the very popular also within the Oracle Apex platform. And of course, charts will be there and creating views and some stored queries. By the way, when it comes to more pretty much advanced, or I might say you will be having advantage if we have this database or SQL background, probably starting from 9 to onwards, that would be the advantage of more customization when it comes to creating some stored queries and modifying the SQL statements. So which means from 1 to 8, I will tell you, even barely you don't have any idea working on SQL or even a very good background in the database. So which means starting from Excel, definitely just a minute or 2 or 3 or 4, it will gonna be very easy for you to work with your first application. So we're gonna be working with more customization when it comes to authentication and security, and application development, of course, and of course we'll do some other services, monitoring, administration, and backup. Before further ado, I will just open up one of my application before we start up with the proper introduction of the Oracle Apex. This is just last night I made this one just to have a walkthrough of what the Oracle Apex will provide us though. So I just provided a very simple application, and this is pertaining to all of the some basic or common features that might be helpful to use whenever we're first time developing a web application using an Oracle Apex. So within this one, you will see I have also navigation on the top, and I included all the reports. Basically, those are some quite basic reports that you might be seeing, and forms as well, master details, charts, calendars, dashboard tree, and some authentication for advanced database developers. So from my homepage, you might be seeing also some attachments of my PowerPoint presentation. So we can go through with one of these report, which is one of the popular report when it comes to Oracle Apex is the interactive report, right? So this is an example for a report, interactive grade. So which means I have created a very simple schema at the moment. Just I could pull out some data coming from our database. We do have also, this is a bit the latest from this 20.2 faceted kind of search. So which means from the left pane panel, you can even list down all the search engine pretty much, like we can just directly filtering within our interactive report. So we do also have some cards. This is one of the new features of 20.2 as well, that along with a typical grid type of a report, it could be also in a card orientation. I mean, representation of this diagram. We can even add on some pictures over here, or a typical like or a heart, just like a typical social media platform, right? But this one are really data that coming from that table actually. So this is also very popular nowadays. Classic report, it was used to be there a long time back since the beginning of Oracle Apex. So this is an example of classic reports. And then we have also, of course, without a form, classic report with a typical form will be there as well. So when it comes to forms, this is considered to be now a typical simple form, but also forms categorized like an editable interactive grid, right? So which means we can edit directly from a certain grid type of report. But this is barely, it's like a form as well, but it's in the form of interactive grid, right? So we can also see some list view as well, like this one. This is quite common into most of the mobile phone. That the interface is pretty much like intuitive and responsive, though, depending on the size of the screen. So anything else we can see there? Master details, of course. We have three options running on the master details. So Oracle Apex is pretty much doing most of the most convenient way of adding those page items that we could maximize all these features of these components, especially if we are categorizing a master details. We can see a stock version like this one that you're seeing. So this is what you're seeing on the top is like a typical master file, and at the bottom is the master detail files. But you can see also in a different flavor, the orientation would be like a typical uh, three pages or three frames. Pretty much, actually, you're seeing a three frames with the left pane navigation. From the top is we have the master detail info, and the master details will be on the bottom. So which means you are now expecting that is the schema is pretty much normalized now because we're pulling out more relationship, and most of the transactions works by basically in this kind of application page, which is the master details. Okay, furthermore, we can see still the drill down, which is quite common, that will generate two pages, and then you can see on the other page, right? Even the master details will be still at the bottom, right? So charts, of course, it's been a while that the charts development are becoming more rapidly increasing nowadays, especially for more analytics, right? So we actually there are so many charts available in from the latest 20.2c of Oracle Apex, and then we can just um, really work with a very beautiful dashboard, just like I'm showing it to you to now. See, so we have more complexity, working on the complexity whenever we're working with stored query and analyzing all our data and put them in this kind of diagrams. So we have so many charts to choose from, of course, but we need also to furthermore customize your SQL statement. But then Oracle Apex will just provide you a complete wizard for you to jump and start on your first graph representations. And there, and we have also some authentication that we will try to work later a bit that needs also to work on our more security on applications. All right, so let's now jump in now to our slide presentation. Okay, we're done with the walkthrough. So what is Oracle Apex? So Oracle Apex is a low-code development platform that enables you to build scalable and secured enterprise applications. This is a world-class feature pretty much because many companies nowadays are working on this. With the fast-growing companies now that they were not thinking about more costs. So, and even the fast and very fast kind of development schedules needs to be done in Snap though. So Oracle Apex is basically is a data-centric web application development framework, just like what we are seeing from other platforms that they have a .NET framework working with the Microsoft platforms and PHP also as well. But when it comes to Oracle Apex, we're only developing a desktop, not only the desktop, but also that includes a mobile web application. So it's more visualization that maintain in the database-centric type of applications. So we can still leverage your SQL skills because the moment that you are on the side of database, of course, this would be a pretty much advantage to us. We can still leverage your development skills whenever you are having this specialized in working on the development, particularly in the SQLs. So more advancement will be there, of course, upon having more knowledge on when it comes to database. If we will go into distinguish how we could work with the Oracle Apex, basically Oracle Apex, especially for the first time, this is no client needed. No client software will be needed. As long as that we have an application development IDE that works within your browser and you're good to go. And this application will store a typical database as a metadata that it's a common declarative that no code generation will be there. And as a matter of fact, this will also generate more efficient with more single request on one typical response. So which means the data processing will be done within the database, and giving you more direct to the point. Actually, the front end and back end, it works seamlessly within this platform. Right. It's a rapid development and customized, and it will deliver you much more further on working on Oracle Apex, because there are so many pre-built controls. You don't think about the security, authentication, database, integration, validation, session management, and more. So which means there are some pre-built controls, but furthermore, you can still do some more customization as per your needed, because these controls will be there only until such time you can still work on more customized controls. It depends on your needs when it comes to your application. So security, particularly authentication. So I have experienced this one back on the days when I was working with a different platform. It really took me a lot to work on that particular platform. But when it comes to Oracle Apex, it will manage you for so easy. It will provide you all those built-in controls. And then furthermore, you can still customize it as per your requirements. So we develop, we customize, we deliver. User interface of this Oracle Apex. And nowadays, this is a responsive and pretty much intuitive, because Oracle Apex are providing more themes and flexibility, even if you are very good as a UI developer, as I said, because you may also control your own customization when it comes to your own UI design. But when it comes to just basic, just you can just jump in directly with the Oracle Apex development. You can see furthermore list of themes that will suit your company or your needs, because this modern intuitive accessibility will run through a different devices, which is the computers, smartphone devices, even the tabs, and fully customizable and responsive apps. It's a no-cost feature. Oracle database, this is what they're saying. So which means Oracle Apex really it's fully supported, fully 100% working developer platforms, and any numbers of application developed and users. That's only you need to manage the sessions. But this is also specialized with other some support team that works on the Oracle Apex. With runs also with 11G released to until even to from the recent one though. So which means even the lowest version of our Oracle still works on this. But you have another options to work with, because Oracle Apex, you can easy to install this one within your premises. So that includes with the default editions. So all you have to do is to jump into this Oracle Apex or apex.oracle.com/OTN. And later maybe I will show you where exactly you can download that one. I started working on this by downloading it and installing to my computer. So you can work as offline. And now this time, Oracle Apex are providing us a free workspace environment. So which is, we have this HTTPS Oracle, apex.oracle.com/PLS and /Apex. So which means you only have to have your uh, working, valid credentials, and they will definitely give you your free space, and then you can test and whether you can work actually as a real programmer, and even you can even deploy even from a free workspace. But if you have some time, of course, some working knowledge on installation and downloading, of course, configuration of the Oracle Apex within your local premises, of course, that would be also recommended. Okay. Normally, okay, this is quite common because Oracle Apex, you might be thinking it's not an enterprise edition, but they do, because they can work similarly with different workspaces. And these different workspaces can also be a part of one huge schema or one Oracle database within the Apex platform. All right. So these workspaces will define depends on the needs of the certain applications, right? The schema hold those data, and we can support many to many relationship, even not even within the workspace alone, but workspace to workspace. So this is what I have done already, I told already, because it's a development deployment options. You have an option to work locally. You can simply just download it and install it to your personal computer. And then, of course, definitely you can work completely disconnected. But of course, there are still some recommendation also from Oracle Apex that within the local premises, it would be also advisable, so that you could, if you have running an IT department there, and then we could also produce our own services that will offer in our server network operating center. And of course, Oracle will also provide you some cloud deployment when it comes to World Wide Web, right? So Apex is not new though, because we have a huge Apex community and over 5,000 developers worldwide. So we have some support, so many support requests that there are some conference and discussion forum activity in each one of these latest technology coming in. So even, which means there are so many active, 100 active bloggers and still counting till now, right? So which means there are so many Oracle Apex developer at the moment within the Oracle Apex community. So they are consulting companies. They can also produce some research and book success stories and codes and commercial applications, right? So which means commercial applications, which means this is a typical running platform that they really up to the Oracle Apex development. So which means all the services have been done under the hood of Oracle Apex. So community authored so many, providing us some plugins, Slack discussion channels, Twitter feeds, and so many more that we can meet up them in the Oracle, in the apex.world, which is the HTTP apex.world. Right. Of course, you might be thinking, are there some popular um, uh, organization that they really showcase their Oracle Apex? Of course, yes. They have a very large diversity of types of application with different teams. It was first launched in 2016, and every single day there are so many published and more added in daily basis that it was built with apex.com. Right. So what makes it's rapid? Because this is what we will be working later a bit. In a typical typical worksheet or an Excel sheet, we will going to transform your spreadsheet to a web app in a minute. In a minute. Really, it's in a minute, actually. If we don't have any more complication when it comes to schema, this is true, actually. I can even show you, even in a minute, you will be having already a web application out of the Excel sheets file that you have dropped in within your Oracle Apex platform. So which means that considered to be already a table, and it could be another part of autonomous database that will be uploaded a new table, of course. And eventually we can create that app within that new table as well. Okay, so we have so many solutions that we pertaining on this spreadsheet. Of course, we can have a single source of truth only, maybe with safe, just for a matter of sharing the file, pretty much like that. Or what if provide an application and then just shoot off your URL and share to your colleague, and then you will be done in no time, actually. So sending out this URL in a file, which a typical that we are sharing in a Google Drive, share the Excel file, and then many multi-users are updating it. Why not do it within Oracle Apex? So the same thing that we're also working with sharing the file within Google Drive. So we can start extending the charge calendar and even validation and more. Rapid application development, of course, this is for basically business and productivity apps. Modernization of the Oracle forms are there and becoming more intuitive and more beautiful as they developing more intuitive kind of design. Extending enterprises is, of course, one of the highlights of Oracle Apex, because not only that we're working locally, because the enterprise resource planning and enterprise software will provide you this kind of facility by giving you some active dashboard that works with analytics and even some improving of workflows and large scale application, of course. And okay, so let's have this fast run through with the product components. After this one, I'll be jumping in now to our Oracle Apex and do some demonstration of working with a mini project, starting with Microsoft Excel. So Oracle Apex, this is a typical home page. It's a comprehensive development environment wherein most of the web application development will be done over this homepage. And for now, you might be seeing it's a black theme, but by default, you will see also in a white theme. So you have an option there by changing your interface as well. Application Builder, this is where exactly the most of the application developer are developing their application, web application within this IDE. And it pretty much, of course, is more intuitive, and it's kind of graphical, more application development graphical in the page designer. And this is also one of the very popular page designer IDE, where exactly this, you will see all the hierarchy of all the page items that you will find within your pages, which if I think most of us have seen HTML page, a typical HTML has also different parts of this page that we could start with the head, the body, and pretty much the same also with the page designer, but it's much more complex because all these page items that you're seeing here is not only a typical items, but rather even some regions that you might be adding it on this, especially for uh, a search, a form, a text boxes, a typical button, or even a chart. So where most of the development will really start working on this page designer. So application builder, of course, one of the popular maintaining SQL and PL/SQL. Even you can run a JavaScript here, a typical HTML, and even a cascaded style sheets with this kind of facility. This application builder is been there for quite long time. But when I remember I started working with Oracle Apex with even version 4.1, they don't have even a line number during those days. But this time they really make the interface more intuitive, and so it would be easy for us to debug or to rewrite some modification of your codes whenever you're requiring to do so. Right. So this applications team is quite very popular, especially for Jumpstart. If you just wanted uh, to to set a current theme that will preloaded and pre-customizable, and otherwise there are also some themes that requires only to add on some plugins, and which is much more complexity when it comes to your beautification of your website or web application. SQL workshop, this is most of my time spending on this part of the interface. Because yeah, Oracle Apex will provide you a fastest way of developing by introducing this kind of wizard. It's been there for quite a long time, even during the forms and developments. The wizards are there, but they did it much more intuitive when it comes to following those process flow. But when it comes to SQL workshop, really, if you onto the database and you're pretty profound and working on writing codes of SQL and PLSQL, this is the best interface that you might be doing. That includes even my ITDB 202 students, actually. We are also working with Oracle Apex, but they're not developing, but they're just only running the SQL commands over this Oracle Apex. Right. SQL Workshop, Quick SQL is there. Team development, of course, quite very popular if they're working in a team. App Gallery, which is a pre-built design by Oracle Apex. All right. So there you are. So other than that, of course, some wizards, create wizards, and so and so and so. All right. So this time, let's jump in now to the Oracle website. Before you start with Oracle Apex, just like I said, we could start with by just directly jumping into the Oracle Apex and acquired a free workspace. So we have apex.oracle.com, and you will find this website. And actually, you can jump directly from this get started for free. So you have two options, technically three options, because the other option is running by cloud. But if you wish only to jump directly from a free workspace, you can see that request a workspace, a free workspace will be there. So which means you only be acquired to fill up some forms there, and with a valid email, and then just for a minute or two, they will send you back to your email, and then now you're good to go. You will going to start with your personal workspace requested, which is accepted by Oracle Apex. The other one is running running within the premises, which means if you click this one, definitely it will send you to the OTN website, and then there will be an installer files there. So only you need to do is to do some configuration on that stuff. So if I click this request a workspace, yes, some forms will be there, some questions might be there, and valid information, of course, with your valid credentials as well. And then once that your request had been put on place, of course, they will send back to your email that your workspace is now accepted. So the moment that you have a workspace, it will be look like this. So apex.oracle.com/pls/apex. So which means one of my workspace is, I name it as Hans Apex. Okay, and then I will be logging my credentials, of course. The best thing with this, sometimes if you are hardly using the workspace, um, Oracle Apex will also inform you that they might be, oops, my session had been ended. They might be purging your workspace if within about a month or so, if you're not having some activity working on this, you have an option to purge. So your credentials, I mean, your workspace will be still be there, but the purging meaning whatever you have developed there within your personal workspace will be purged. Because this is a typical free workspace, of course, they're still maintaining and they are still the administrator of this free workspace. Otherwise, if you have installed it in your local premises, of course, you're the full administrator of this platform. Okay, see, I could not jump into my account. I'm sorry, 1 second. Okay. And basically, the name of the workspace is unique, actually. All right. Okay. So this time, let's perform our first schema. And I have here a sample of a typical spreadsheets. And okay, you can see that this spreadsheet is like a typical employee details or information. And for me, it's not like, of course, obviously for non-IT, they don't know what's the meaning of normalized, but it's pretty much there are still some redundant, some records are there. But how can we start up with this? Actually, by just barely this one, actually, we can import this one, and then you can shoot directly your URL and share it directly your application. But then, of course, if you want to do it professionally, we have to normalize a bit here, and within the Oracle Apex platform will help us to work some relationship. Okay, for just quick demonstration, just like I said, really it works like a minute. I will just copy or just have the file in the desktop, and then we'll just import that one directly from your Oracle Apex workshop. And along with the SQL workshop, we have here the utilities and the data workshop. And now we have two options here. So load the data, either it's in CSV, XML, latest Excel, even the JSON data, right? So now what I will do, I'll just copy paste. Though you have two options here. So either you straight away drag the file over here, or just barely copy paste with just the same what I did there, right? So now, suppose it's a new table. So let me name this one as Hansel table. Okay, any name will do now. And only the thing is we need to work with the first column header need to be identified that would be the first contains the headers. So this will gonna be matching for our each one of the columns. So barely we just paste it, and then upon loading this one, if we don't have any problem, straight away your record has been imported successfully, and you can see here directly from the create application. I can create application immediately even if I just wanted to work with straight away with that application, create application. And it depends on your internet connection, barely a minute though, and I'm done. See, application is finished. I think it's barely a minute even. So if I run the application, for the first time, of course, Oracle Apex will provide you your credential. You need to log in, but we can also customize this one by removing the login credential and make this one as public. Okay, once again, I'm here to my credential. Sometimes I will show you also to remove this login credential in case you might be setting as one of your page or the home page would be a public though. Only it will require you to some authentication if you want to do so. See, it's just barely a minute. We have already done your first application. But of course, that is only like straight away if your table is just barely like this, but without doing some necessary relationship at all, right? So which means like a normalization and providing your foreign keys and primary keys needs to be put on place. Some constraints must be there, but at least it's a working prototype already. I have a dashboard with me. Look at that. I even selected that one, but Oracle Apex provided me a dashboard. How cool is it, right? And a table search with a very beautiful faceted type of searching engine. Wow, it was awesome. Look at this. I can share it. I can filter it over here. And a table report will be definitely in an interactive report. And it's not a grid editable one though. And but the thing is, we can still have a dialogue kind of forms that we can still update your record. And the calendar. Imagine calendar is also there. Other than that, maybe if some dates needs to be imported here. But anyhow, it was so beautiful. Just only barely a minute, you come across with this application. Only you have to shoot this URL and share it to your colleague by just barely copying the the URL itself. Actually, I'll just edit this one and then let's say Hansel underscore table. All right. Okay. I'll show you how it works. That I can barely shoot this one and share through to your colleague. That URL will be acceptable to everyone. Just write on Apex, Oracle, apex.oracle.com /pls slash Apex slash question mark P equals to Ansel underscore table. There you go. Of course, it requires me a custom authorization for my login credentials. All right. So we will not do like that. Of course, this is what Oracle Apex is telling. Really, it's barely you have done even a single code, right? So you just imported this. What if let's do a little bit professional, because we are now seeing some information that might be belong into one table, like the employee number, the e-name, but the, I think I have no repeated the employee number here, but I think we need to do some a little transaction later on, because this information is other than the information of the employee, there is also a department there, which department name is mentioned, and it was redundantly mentioned over there, and that also includes the location. Password, maybe we can remove this one if we don't need to log in as a customized authentication. But furthermore, we just leave it for a while. But I think this one, this eval and eval date, this information is like it's like it's like a peer evaluation. I believe so. I think so. Yeah, but there is no multiple record only mentioned within a certain employee, which means this can be one is to many. One could be evaluated by whom, and one will be evaluated by his manager. So when you see this MGR, so this MGR was assigned like a self-related table within the same table, which is this ID are also belongs to this employee number. So which means most likely these are the HODs, or considering the managers, but who are the one supervising them, who is the direct superior for this, right? So for now, let me just grab this one. Maybe I'll just keep this one for a while, this one, and I might need the manager ID over here, but I will not include this one for a while, but I will delete this department number. Okay, I'm not doing the normalization at the moment. I will show you directly in Oracle Apex how we will come up with an entity relationship diagram that our table had been, our original file become more perfect schema at the moment without any necessary codings. So for now, let me just jump. Okay, let me just select this one because I might be having one table that will pertain to employee. We might be having one table for the department, or even we could just make a lookup on the job itself, if they might added a new job from your company, or even the department itself. I know, other than the department, I think this location as well. Okay, let me just copy once again this one. All right, and then let's go back to our Oracle Apex. And of course, we'll be working on a proper uh, relationship now at the moment. Okay, where is my Okay, there. So for you to import your file, of course, we can just jump directly from SQL Workshop, and then the utilities are there, and back to the data workshop. Still, we'll be heading to that IDE because we will going to import once again a copy pasted selected row and columns within our Oracle environment. All right. So 1 second. Okay, I'm getting okay. Now let me load it. Okay. Let me copy paste it once again and then click next. All right. So quick. And then you have, of course, for now we will create a new table because we will now generate a real schema at the moment. So I might name this table first like Apex so that every single table name will be together whenever I will go into search all the table that will be working within our schema. Apex employee underscore employee. All right. So which means later the table Apex underscore table. See, I'm not jumping into the object browser, which I'm typing each one of the columns. This is one of the fastest way. That's why rapid application development is directly from Excel sheets. Once again, of course, we have to select the column headers there. And you can check, you can barely check if you miss some columns there, or you can still go back to your configurations. So I believe this is fine now though. Let me load it. And remember the name of the table is Apex underscore employee. Load this table and you will see same number of rows might be imported. Yes, 18, but we will not jump directly to the create application, but rather we will check our table, right? Because we will try to normalize your table. Um, of course, this is now Apex underscore employee. So you can see that it's automatically from importing. You have an ID there that was set as a default, that set as a primary key. But however, we have still some problem with the employee number or no, because the employee number should be unique. So we can do some adding constraints a bit here later. But before we do that one, let me show you how first we normalize your table coming from this Excel, directly from the Excel that we have imported, right? So now, let's first work with one B lookup. Let's generate the department column as one of a B lookup, and eventually this later will come as a foreign key, and eventually later this depth column will become now like a totally separate table, like a parent table that will hold the primary key of the department ID automatically by just barely selecting this column. But how do we do that one in Oracle Apex? Let's jump into the table. By the way, we are in the object browser, right? This is the object browser IDE, which I have shown you from the slide. Okay, you can see here that we have a create lookup table, right? Create lookup table, right? Select this create lookup table and then find the column that you want to work with, a separate column, I mean separate table, which is depth, right? Initially, it was in varchar. But you will see the magic once that we completed this VLOOKUP, this variable char within the Apex underscore employee will become now a department ID, and it will become now as a number. So we'll see for that one after this. Okay, click next. Okay, naming convention is very important in Oracle Apex, in total over Oracle platform. Why? Because most of the time, if we have so many objects that we're working on, it's better to name them in a proper convention. Why? Because eventually, if we want to come back to that particular object, we never know which object has been linked to that table and so. Because Oracle basically out of the table object, we also working with the sequence object, we are also working with an index object, we are also working with the trigger object, and other than the objects of working with functions and other views and so. So let me just name this one as again Apex. And remember, I captured the department table, right? Department column. Okay, I will name this one as department then. All right, so Apex underscore department. Okay, this sequence, maybe it's good for now, dep underscore lookup sequence, but basically you also needs to write the name of the table over here so that during the backup, you know which objects need to be put together whenever you're backend making a dump of your SQL. So now let's click next. And upon creating this lookup table, definitely an Apex underscore department should be created. And you can see now the relationship of this table via their department ID on that other table, which is the employee. Right. Now you can see automatically we have done depth underscore ID, and you can see the data barely it pulled just the unique names of the department automatically along with the department ID. I don't even set this one. I don't even set this one. But now the best thing with this is when you come to the model, just like barely like a typical ER diagram, you can see that that your department is now linked to your employee. So now let's jump into our Apex underscore employee, and let's see first the structure of this Apex employee, that it really changed that column. See, the dep ID is already there. It become a number. Okay, now let's see the data, and now barely you will see the name of the department, right? Department ID now become now a VLOOK. So literally that VLOOK was creating a reference key via this relationship of primary key and the foreign key, which means this dep ID is basically, you can see it from the constraint, automatically had been created as a foreign key. It's there. The name of the constraint was auto-generated by Oracle Apex. And then you can see the definition there that the Oracle Apex belongs to that department table that will hold the column dep underscore ID. And typical, it's enabled, of course, and it was created this time. Right. So furthermore, let's go back again to our Apex employee, and we can still grab one of some, uh, maybe we can still work with some other relationships though, like say the location can be also be lookup, and as well as even the jobs, right? Even the jobs, right? So even the jobs. So technically we have now two tables. So let's make a job as a one of your reference also, so that this will be become a job ID over here, right? So there will be no redundant in case there will be an open form. Someone someone wrote manager but in a different case, or someone wrote manager in a different spelling. So it's better to be it would be properly normalized. Okay, let me just jump it once again to our A table, and then make another great lookup within the job. See, the department's not there anymore because we have created a proper relationship within our new lookup. So now this time we will jump into a job, and I will name this one as Apex once again underscore job. You will see why the reason why I wrote the first prefix name is every time I search here, because I have a bunch of tables over here in my workspace, right? So which means I can see close enough to all my schema are related whenever I search from within the object browser. All right, so this is already job, right? Anyhow, it's already there. And let me just stick to this um, name of this, by default, name of the sequence anyhow. Because in my BTech students, I also ask them to customize the sequences depending on the sequence triggered that will be generated by Oracle Apex, not only by incrementing by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but otherwise 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2. So this is where we need to jump in if we want to work with the object needs to be customized or altered your sequence. Okay, now let's click next. Okay, already been used. Okay, so I'll make it 2. Right. All right, now let's create the lookup table, and definitely you will be seeing another reference to our original Apex underscore employee. Now it seems that the 1 minute development is not pretty much the same what this Apex is telling. But why? Because we're now doing it the proper way of working the schema. This is what I always recommend to most of my students, that just don't jump into the application other than you're not even perfect designing your schema, because the most important is the schema. And whenever you have designed, you're already completed your application, but then you have some discrepancy working with schema, everything will be in bad shapes, because if you alter the schema, automatically you have to go back to your application which you have developed. So we have to redo every single uh, applications or pages that you have done. So now this is the Apex underscore job, and it was uniquely displayed over there. And you can see now the model over here that pretty much we have now literally 3 tables that are related to each other. And yes, indeed. So in our Apex, right, employee, all right, right. So which means now, um, okay, right, there you go. So there's a little log only, right? So which means now if you will now see directly from our data, it's pretty much, we have only seen the dep ID over there. And furthermore, maybe last one will be our um, our location. Okay. Anyhow, its location is quite easy to work with. Okay, let's make another one, which is a look for location, and we're good. Okay. So I think officially now, once that I have completed this Apex location, and okay, it's already been there already. So see the sequence objects, every single names of objects created in Oracle Apex should be unique though, right? And this would be a location. For now, we can now create a simple forms and reports out of the box that we have only generated within this three or three tables, I believe so. Yes. Let me check now our constraint. Let's go back to the model. And of course, this only linked to employee, but if we click our employee, now most likely now you're getting a proper relationship now within this. Right. Now let's check, let's go back to this Excel sheet that we have provided. This highlighted sheets already had been completed, right? But still, I still have some columns that had been okay. I think some questions have given here. How can we create schema without the data? Okay, this is a good question, though. That's true without the data. Okay, so without the data, furthermore, okay, maybe I can provide you this one without the data. Okay, so that's good. At least, suppose we don't have data. That's correct. It's a good question. Anyhow, database 101. Students are still learning first to work with the schema by barely creating the schema without any data at the moment. Of course, insertion of record based on the SQL statement will be there later on once that everything has been put on place. Yes, I will show you that one a little bit. Right. Maybe from this one though. Okay, from this one. And then within the without the data, suppose I will just import this one for now. Okay. So let's go back to this. So for this area, we have already normalized our table. Okay, we don't have a data later, and just suppose what is this actually? It's kind of evaluation, and who is ever evaluating them is maybe this manager, but I don't think so. This could be as one is to many. Not only the manager is only evaluating you, but rather it could be evaluator, because it's for now the manager is the one evaluating it from that particular employee. But I will just change that one to evaluator, because later we will create a master detail that will populate and assign some evaluator within that particular evaluatee. And eventually later our report will be aggregated by getting all the groups or counting all the average of all these evaluation. Suppose it's from 1 to 5 is the range. So we'll take only the average. Okay, what else do I need? Of course, to whom should we put this evaluation? Of course, we need to grab the employee number, right? The employee number. Right. So which means the employee number will, of course, definitely will come to know that this evaluation is came from that particular employee number, and who did that evaluation was this student ID. I mean, employee ID, which at the moment I think it's the manager assigned for them though, right? But later we will make this one as a one as to many relationship that we can even assign even not only the manager, that will it's like a peer evaluation though. Okay, so I think we have no evaluator. I hope I use the correct word. Evaluator, evaluatee, evaluator, the one is evaluating, evaluatee, the one is being evaluated. Hopefully the term is correct. And this would be the rating supposedly now by respective evaluators. And now I think I need to add only here like no need to write actually, because this is will be eval ID as a primary key. So I think we're good. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 plus eval ID. Okay, so we have a question over here. How can we create a schema without the data? Okay, now moving on. All right. So let's create one table. We will name this one as apex underscore evaluation. Okay, this would be the name of the table. Okay, let's now jump in without the data for now. For suppose, but we have already data, but eventually will insert that one. We'll just import that Excel in no time. Okay, by creating a table without the data, we'll jump directly from SQL Workshop, particularly in the object browser. Yes, object browser. So which means the object browser where you can develop, create a table, a view, indexes, sequence, and so on until even working with the triggers, right? So you can see here for the right in my screen, there's a plus sign here, upper right side, that we can click this selection that we can create a table or view and different objects are there. But for now, we will create a table without the data, all right? So there will be a process flow. This is what I'm saying. It's a kind of wizard that a typical form developer long time ago from Oracle that they have this kind of approach. They still they still have it though when it comes to Oracle Apex. Okay, for now let's name the table like Apex underscore evaluation. Okay, so we'll just review for now the columns that we need. I need an eval ID because for now this time we are the one we will create our table and we will select that eval ID as a primary key. Not like before, it was automatically inserted over there. So this time this is eval ID. Okay, so let me just make that one as one eval ID here. Eval ID as a primary key. And this would be a number. And next would be emp no, emp no, and this would be a number as well, right? And followed by evaluator. Okay, actually this evaluator will be also be linked as one of your um, one of your peer actually. Okay, let me just jump into this one. This is evaluator. We'll just name it like this so that will not be confused because this is a typical employee ID as well. So I'll just name that one as data type as a number as well. And eval, this eval will be the rating itself. It depends. If you want to change this one to rating, it doesn't matter. Rating, okay. And yeah, it's from 1 to 5 will be the rate. So will be rating. And later on, we will use of the star rating in our master details instead of pulling down the numbers though. And this, of course, a number. We could not aggregate a certain data field. It wasn't set as a data type number. And I think we still need eval date. Yes, eval date. Eval date without space. Yeah. Eval date will be a date, of course. Right. Okay. Normally, since we'll be setting this eval ID underscore ID as a primary key, we'll set for now as a null. You might be asking, where is the primary key here? So don't worry, we still have 4 sets of processes upon completing this creating table wizard though, right? If you have some other more columns, of course, you have to add here and click this. For now, I don't need to write some scales and precisions by default, but otherwise, if this is a bar chart, that only will force you to write the scale. But normally, it's all numbers though, right? So even the dates. So click next. Apex evaluation will ask you first on the second process will be which will be your primary key. So what we will do, we will create a new from a new sequence, of course. That new sequence will come as a new sequence name of the object and a new primary key constraint name. So which means I might rather name this one as a proper naming convention for my object, particularly in the constraint. This is apex underscore evaluation will be the name of the table underscore eval ID, the name, the name of the name of the column, underscore PK. Okay, this is basically what we are teaching our ITDB 202. If we're creating a table or a column level constraints, we have to have a proper naming convention of the objects. So similarly with this sequence name, Apex evaluation underscore sequence, that literally sequence is coming from eval ID, right, sequence. This is a proper naming convention, of course. Name of the table, particularly in the constraints, and some of which are auto-generated by Oracle Apex. But for you, you have a better chance of giving them a proper naming. So that should be populated from a new sequence, okay? Because this is a new table, the sequence should be first created, and the new trigger should be done also as well, because there will be a trigger for a PLSQL on this behalf. So click next, and I almost forgot, yes. Of course, select the fields. Okay, primary key must be the eval ID. Click next, and there you go. So though since already we have completed some of the tables, I think we can now create reference key. I mean some foreign key in behalf of this new table. This is the best thing while you are creating a new table, barely directly from the creating a new table, except without the table already been existing already, or you do some altering, or coming from an imported Excel. But this time is the best platform, or is IDE that you will work upon. If you have more than one foreign keys, you can work as well here. Say, the one of the foreign key is about the empno. We are now literally creating a table at the same time making a reference via this foreign key to another reference table, which I will put it there on the right side, and then I will select the Apex employee, yeah, the first table that we have created, right? And then of course I have to select for the employee number. Okay, I still need to do some added constraints here in the employee, because I haven't done the unique of the employee number. But anyhow, there will be no problem anyhow for now. But let me just make a relationship of employee number, no via the Apex employee table into employee ID, or employee no via this name of the table of evaluation. Okay, now I'll pull it on the right, and you're not yet done. Don't be excited. Don't click the next, because you need to click this add, but make it sure that the name of that foreign key must be well defined. So which means this is a foreign key. Before it was a primary key object name, that this one, name of the table apex underscore evaluation underscore no, name of the column underscore shortcut name of the constraint, which is FK. And that time only I could click the add, and that it will show here in this list. If we still have some more foreign keys though, we can still add on to this. But anyhow, let me just leave this evaluator for the meantime though, right? Because I have to make a self-constraint, self-relationship later on a typical self-joining in the table of using a manager. Okay, click next. And then I think we're good. Okay, check. In case you have some other than foreign key, unique, and primary key, if you have some check constraint and unique, you can still work on this, but just don't forget to click add, and it will list over here. For now, we don't need this one. And click next. And I believe that this will be created at the same time. It should come with, oops, not matching unique primary key. 1 second. Wait, 1 second. So Oracle Apex will provide us some um, message if we are not providing a proper naming convention as well, or probably the one of the data type was it's not matching anyhow. But we'll see. Proper not matching. It's evaluator. No is a number. I believe that we have done that one as a number, right? Because okay, anyhow, we haven't done this one yet, but this one is, it's also a number, definitely. But let's see where exactly we're having some problem here. Otherwise, maybe some other name of the sequence or objects had been created already, right? Let me just add on some numbers there. And hopefully this will still carry on to this columns and refer to that reference column by default. Okay, click next. And it should be done by now if I create the table. Okay. Apex evaluation underscore number is not matching in the primary key. I think yes, indeed, because I'm sorry to say we have to go back to the employee because we have skipped. Remember that our Apex table of our employee, we have only had a primary key. rule of the thumb when it comes to database 101, of course, definitely most of the foreign keys reference must be in the primary key. So where I'm not linking into ID, what shall we do? So which means we have to add one more constraint into no, right? Because the moment that we made that successfully, even though we don't have discrepancy on your table, but then, of course, once that we have duplicate the employee number, we are now having some problem in referential integrity. So what we will do, let's create a constraint in the empno, create a constraint in the empno, all right? And I will name this one table name, empno, empno underscore um, unique. I'm sorry, unique. Okay, I'll just make shortcut UN. Okay, it's because I will need to select the unique constraint type, and I have to select that particular column, which is employee number, right? Because eventually later you will find on our development, we will be having application deployment using a raw ID, right? Even though we have so many primary keys and we have so many unique constraints over there. So I think we're good now to this, and click and finish, and we're done. All right. One thing more, if you are also checking out our Excel, this manager is basically it's a self constraint. I mean, what is this one? It's self-related tables or self-joining, I believe so. Yeah, pretty much like the self-joining. We can also make a relationship this one within the same table, but it will be reference to the employee number. So this is what we taught in the self-joining though. So we have to write typical SQL aliases because they are the same column and the same table, and but they are referencing on the same different columns though. Now this time, what we will do, I will make a foreign key for this manager, and it will be self-related to this primary key of the same table. So this is quite interesting actually. So let's do that one once again in the constraint. In the constraint. So let me create another constraint, right? Anyhow, see, maybe our schema will maybe completed within an hour. But to tell you frankly, when we jump now to application, maybe you will finish within even 10 minutes or so. So which means schema is very important because the moment that you have done all the proper relationship and constraints, we're good to go. We can furthermore develop our applications in much more customized kind of approach. Say, for example, I will name this one as manager, MGR, which is MK. So we'll have a self relationship or join within the same table because I will going to make this one as a foreign key. But I will select, of course, I need to select manager or MGR, but my reference will be the same table, which is Apex employee. Yes, Apex employee. So that would be linked to our emp no. And there you go. Okay, now you notice that there will be no click add over here because this is already created. So this is similar to what we are doing or teaching to our student. We use an alter command, alter table command, if we want to do some alterations within the created table, or especially if we want to add constraint and so. Okay, I think now we can click next, and this should be done perfectly though. And I've clicked finish, and we're good there. So I think we will not be having some problem anymore back to this development with barely just without a record. Okay, sorry for that one. So we started all over on the new table without importing. So I will name this one as Apex evaluation. Let's make it faster a bit. This is eval underscore ID. This is number. Um, sorry, emp no. This emp no. This would be a number. This is evaluator. I will show you how this evaluator will become one is to many because we can evaluate peer-to-peer as well and using a master detail. And what else? Rating. Okay, I changed that one into rating that eval. Rating would be number, but evaluator should be number as well because this is employee number basically. And I think this is date or eval date. We'll name that one as a data type as date. Right, I think we're good. Just click this not null. This will be auto-generated object with the constraint not null. And I think I don't miss now. We're done. Okay, so let me just go on once again to this new populated sequence. So I'll just make this one as 100 for 100 evaluation ID. Okay, this is 100. Okay, just for now. Right now, I'll be creating now a constraint at the moment now for this. Let's say this is 100. This is emp no, right? The emp no should be referenced to our Apex table employee, of course, and that should be emp no. Before we don't have a constraint of being a unique. Hopefully this should be finishing with no time because it used to have this constraint needs to be done first on that parent, I mean from that particular table. I think we're good. Click next and we should have no problem now because we have done it properly. Well, we're almost complete because only the thing is this is what one question came from our audience. How can we work with a schema without a data? But this time now we have a data, but we don't. We have a table, but we don't have a data. Okay, now let me show you. We'll import this one. Anyhow, I can just generate one. Oh, wait. Um, Let me just generate the automatic number here so that we could capture also uh, auto increment for now, so that the sequence will going to just increment the last generated sequence here, which is 18. Okay, let me just highlight this. And by the way, in some cases that the date will not be might not be having some problem in importing from Oracle Apex. And the best solution for that is we just go to the format cell and you make it sure that you are setting it like a date I don't know, this is a short date. Yes, like a short date. Right, because sometimes this will not be reflected, but it will come like this later on because we can still make more customization and format within Apex. Okay, this time now I will dump this one within our created table, which is the Apex evaluation. And similar to what we have start with the first table, go to SQL workshop, data workshop, load the data, copy and paste, and next, of course, it won't not be a new table anymore. It would be an existing table. And of course, we have to select for that table name, which is evaluation. And for you to match all the columns, of course, you have to take this column header for proper parsing, of course. And there you go. So we don't have any issue with this evaluator, which is null for now, right? So this time now, let's load this one. It should be loaded successfully, and we're good, right? So if we view the table, and now we have populated our Apex evaluation with this employee number. One sec. I think it wasn't matching though. Oh, I'm sorry. It was underscore. Okay, it was underscore. No issue. We can once again truncate this one, right? Let's just truncate it once again, and then let's back to that, and it should come with underscore. I just had a different column name there, and I didn't check it actually. I'll show you where to check it so that you will not be also experiencing the same thing. Though it's already been truncated, it's empty. Let me just import it once again. And after this one, we'll now jump to application, of course. Okay, copy paste it once again, and next. Okay, if you want to attach it with the CSV, it will be also recommended. Otherwise, you just only have to copy paste it. Okay, after taking this header, okay, to make it sure that you're matching all single columns, there's a configure here. And it seems that 4 out of 5 columns have been automatically mapped. Why? Still, I have one remaining one though. Right, see, it was map, unmap. Okay, eval ID, I'm sorry, because I made eval underscore ID, I believe so. Right. So it should be eval underscore ID. I don't know. It wasn't mapped though. Emp no should be emp underscore no. How come I have so many ratings? It seems that there are some multiple columns over here. 1 second. Mm-hmm. We'll see. Only I was about to change only the m underscore no. Anyhow, it was successfully loaded, but we'll see the data. I think we're good now. I think so. Yeah. Only the evaluation number wasn't. It was already followed the the incremented value from the last 18th row I have done. But we don't have any issue because we will make a row ID for this. Okay, now for a quick recap, this would be our model. And we can see that our evaluation is linked to our reference to our Apex employee. But it's you can see the complete version of this once that you click the Apex employee. And this is now our schema. So out of this schema now, we will work two tables probably, two tables. Maybe we'll just grab one table for employee, we'll grab one table for table in the form, I'm sorry, table and report with the form, and the rest will do from anyhow, it's all repeated the same thing now. But the most important will be working with your master details. Okay, now let's try to jump now with the application builder. Application builder or app builder. Okay, so I have some bunch of programs here, and let's create a new one. Okay, upon creating a new one, so let's create this new application based from the existing data. All right, and then okay, so we have some options as well. Of course, we can add on I mean, the pages within this creation. But anyhow, we have also privilege to add the new app pages, even the application had been created. So let's just name this one as Apex webinar. Okay, webinar. All right. And anyhow, this is not unique, but the most important here is this, the application ID is unique. Okay, upon creation of this, there will be a default appearance there, which maybe you might have been seen this one. This sample I have shown you. This is different, this is a different theme you can choose from, and then even the settings, I mean, what do you call that one? The navigation approach will be like a mega menu. That was the mega menu. But this time we will just jump into side menu. So this is a typical with the left side panel with navigation along with your header there and your content body. Okay, it was also a Beta Dart, which I have selected for my demonstration before we start our workshop. So we'll just jump it for this Beta and default of navigation of side menu. Right? Anyhow, I did not do any changes. Okay, now before that one, let me just add some couple of pages though with a report with a form. We can even directly create a page here by selecting that particular object, which is a form, and we'll just name this one as employee. Just okay, employee. And by the time that you're creating this one, actually, you're also creating a navigation out of your navigation panel, and at the same time, a shortcut within your homepage. But of course, we have to link that one to your Apex underscore employee, right? Apex underscore employee. And just for the record, we'll see how the form with the report approach at least. We can include this one that will add one more page technically. And eventually you can set different set icons. But anyhow, we can still customize this one even the page has already been created. So add the page, and this will be our employee page. Maybe one more for department, and we'll just do the rest maybe because the most important is the master details. So add one more page like form, and let's name this one as department. Right? And of course, we have to link to our Apex underscore department. Search it, and then there you go. And let's add one more page for that will include a form with the report. So add this page. All right, I think we're good. But anyhow, of course, we can still add more here, but I can show you where exactly we could add um, a page, a new page, even the application had been created. For now, we don't use these features because we are doing our more customizable application for now. Because this one is for the advanced users that they know really work with the access controls and some other feedbacks and so. All right, by default, my schema is Hans Apex. This is the name of my workspace, and there will be a default authentication, but hopefully we can still jump onto this because what if you want to make a database customized account instead of the credentials that you have there in your Oracle Apex, we can write a typical PLSQL that will enable you to match your password and username within your database, and that would be awesome once that we have make a customized authentication. But for now, as a default, we'll make use of our application express account. But I can show you also to disable this one and make the page public, maybe only on the home page. Now let's hit this create button, and we will see now the partial application that we have done it pretty much only in our schema, but not with the more normalized table at the moment, like the evaluation. See, now let's run the application. You can so you have so many options to choose from because later we'll jump it here. In most of the time, we'll be working on the shared components, and of course the design view. So let's look first. We'll see how it looks first, and then of course for the first time it was created, of course it will ask you to log on your Apex credential because this is by default. Mm, .com, right? So, right, I'm sorry. Already log in. Okay. Yeah, I will just show you how to remove that authentication. There you go. By default, it's a white, Vita clean, and there will be a navigation as well. So now, literally now, what you're seeing is out of your two tables that pretty much they are related to each other because if I click to the employee, now you can see that it was or automatically made a list of value. Technically, it wasn't there. The location wasn't there. The department wasn't there because these are all codes. And I think even the position, where's the position? Yeah, I think even the position though. Even the position. Otherwise, if I forgot to even this one, the manager, see, the manager, it used to be a number, but now it was already named there. And where's the position, by the way? The job there is also there. So if you want to really check it, what I'm saying is now, if we go back to the object browser, or maybe just shoot a simple SQL, run as SQL statement for that. So select star from Apex underscore employee, all right? You can see barely that how come those information came with that LOB automatically. See, it was only number on the location ID, job ID, department ID, and even the manager, MGR column is all number. But when you done it properly in the schema, see, imagine the forms is basically filled up. I will show you how it works actually. Even the forms actually, it will also be populated by that list of value. This is automatically done already. But as a matter of fact, sometimes if you don't think about this one during creation of your schema, we can still create your own from scratch of this working on this list of value. But at least it was a less bit of time because we have already perfectly done. Even we spend more time in the schema, but your application had been perfectly in place, right? Only the thing is this number employee. It is in kind of with the comma there. We can just edit this page, and then you will see that you will lead now to page designer, wherein in fact we can customize your design. And this is the content body, and basically it was a table type. You can see here from the right pane panel that is the settings, which is source was in table type. If you want to much more on advanced level, a bit intermediate level of SQL, you can make that one as a SQL statement, and you can still debug this one, and then you can run a where clause as you like, right? So which means if you're pretty good in SQL, that is now the advantage of having a back knowledge or prerequisite in SQL. But in fact, if you're just barely learning Oracle Apex, I think we're good. table or SQL type will do for us though, right? But more customization, definitely this will leverage your development. Let me go back to that page item, which is the employee number. Every time that you're selecting each one of these objects are also seeing here in the page layout. This is already the latest version when version 18C came out. It's pretty much almost 2 years back though. But before, it wasn't there. This layout page wasn't there. We were barely we don't see the output at the moment once that you haven't run it yet. But this time, every every single page objects that you're seeing here on the left main panel of your page designer, it will be the same layout that you're seeing also over here on your layout page. And the bottom side here are all the regions. So see, each one of the components that you're selecting will be changed towards the item selected on the right main panel of your Oracle Apex. You have so many settings that you will choose from here. So particularly, of course, the types are there, right? But I'm only pertaining, I want that mass should be removed because I don't want the ID comes with a comma. So if I save that one, change the changes, and now you can see that that comma should be removed here later. So let me just wait for saving and then run it once again, or just refresh this page, and there you go. So this time, actually, we're now on the interactive report. So in the interactive report is pretty much like very complex for non-database developer, but I don't think so. It's a straightforward because you can enable this one action as you wish. But as a developer, I can remove this one and select only very few functions over here if they found an ordinary user might be complicated for them. But to tell you frankly, interactive report is very powerful because you can add column, remove column, hide column, you can filter, you can even sort, aggregate, compute within this format of this interactive report. Format of highlighting and control breaking. Charts is also can be done within the interactive report, group by pivot, and we can save also the report that you have made some settings though. And the best thing with this, of course, downloadable in two different formats such as your CSV, HTML, Excel, PDF. And the latest thing that they have done since the 18C was sending an email directly. But they haven't even perfect it yet because, of course, you have to type it down here, the email. But at least this feature had been added here now in 20.2. All right. So this time we're done with this part of the employee. What if we are now working with a part of your master details? So pretty much the master details is now we're leading to our schema that the, the evaluation actually, the evaluation is pretty much your master details because it holds a lot of information, particularly the employee number and the one who is evaluating you. And the most important is these ratings. Remember, these ratings will be one is to many. So which means one employee can be evaluated by so many employee though. Not only that he is his manager, but still it would be a peer-to-peer. So which means this will be populated as one is to many. So what we will do, that later on, these ratings will be aggregated. We can write a typical SQL statement by group by, and then we'll just identify it by setting up, maybe displaying or projecting an employee number, but we will aggregate it by the average. So later on, that would be the equivalent ratings that was been given to that particular employee. Whoever made that evaluation though, of course, it will mention of course over here. Otherwise, we may need some validation within the form, or otherwise within your constraint of your table, or within your table, the constraint should be done in place also. Because I haven't done this one. This one is for now. You know why this is zero? I mean empty or null, because this employee was the president. So no one will giving evaluation to him though. All right. So would be our master detail, and we have two way of working with the master, which means if you're seeing now our model, this is very important because not only that we are discussing how to do the master detail. The problem was if we don't understand how we capture the master detail based on your schema. So there are two way of doing that. So actually within your employee, the manager look within the same table, which is a self-related table also. The master detail could be within the manager to the employee, or the employee to a to the set of evaluatees. So for now, we will see an example of between the manager to to those who are those evaluatee only under his supervision. So let's create our first master detail, and then let's create this one, this page. And now, long time ago, this master detail was used to be inside the form, but they have separated because of much more complexity of working on the master detail. But rather, they did it by separating into different flavors, which is stuck side by side and drill down. One is the awesome one is the side by side. Why? Because in a single page, there are three regions, and technically, it comes with three different tables and even more. And each one of those are only within the same page. But I used to work with the drill down because a long time ago, this common, even 3 pages was there because the master detail information, and the detail will be another third page. But they have only optimized it into 2 pages. Okay, so for now, I will select, let's say, this drill down. All right, this drill down and click next. Okay, so technically, you're creating a 2 pages. That's why it was mentioned here, master page number 1, and this detail as detail page number. Anyhow, this naming convention or just a labeling or title can be also still be changed within even the, 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 the page had been created already. So we'll just name this one as master employee. Yeah, because the master employee will be there, of course. And this page 7 will be master evaluation employee, the master detail, master employee evaluation, the detail. Okay. Master details, employee evaluation. Okay. Right. Right. Later we will come to this one, and this will be defined to another related table. Okay. This is another object that you might be seeing within your page, which is the breadcrumb. It's typical hierarchy, which is the parent and of the child of each pages in series of connect hierarchy. And then for now, we'll just leave it as this, as a name entry of your page breadcrumb. Okay, the next second process flow will will be asked to link to a navigation. If not, of course, how can you open that page? We can also create another, maybe one button somewhere in the forms actually. But okay, just for the record, we could just create a new navigation that this will be master employee or wait, I will name this one as master manager. Okay, manager. Okay, so I will show you the difference though later. Manager. Okay, okay. This is evaluation because this will show in the breadcrumb. Evaluation by manager. Okay, okay, by manager because this will appear in the breadcrumb. I mean in the parent navigation. Later we will name evaluation by, not by, no. Okay, we'll just dash manager because later with the employee. I'll show you why. Because this would be our first table. Our master table is basically our employee. Employee. And you will see that there are a set of primary keys selections here. But this time, if we have now more than one primary key and we have some unique, Oracle Apex is now added this recently, not even recently, long back, probably 2 or 4 years back. The raw ID are now becoming more um, uh, useful when it comes to constraints and behavior of the reference of your forms and reports and master details. And for now, we will just make it raw ID at the moment. And this would be form navigation order will be employee number. Anyhow, this will be only enabled from the admin side. For now, okay, if you don't want to show the salary, it's up to you, right? But I might suggest add on all the columns because it's easy to hide them inside the page designer other than adding them, which is they're not there, right? So I'll just only showing to you at least the salary is not showing over there. Click next. This is the most important part of the third one is it only shows the related table. Other than this, if you haven't done perfectly your schema with the proper constraint, particularly in reference, you won't be able to see this list of your related table. So of course, we don't use the employee now. We are now linking because there are two related tables. Remember here, we have a manager within the same table. but we are opted to select the evaluation. And the primary key we'll set for now is row ID because we have a more than um, uh, primary key over there with a unique. But see what this is the difference now of why I taken first the manager side, because the relationship has M to manager. This is automatically will be listed here if we have done the proper constraint, proper references, and foreign keys and related tables will be there. If not, totally, it's this a big headache because you will not be pulling all those information within your master detail if you have not done properly the schema, particularly in related tables. So this one is M2 manager, and I think we're almost done. If I click create, okay, let's select all the columns because we need all these columns. And later on, a list of values will be done manually because definitely this will not be done automatically. Okay, now ideally we have page 6 and page 7. So for now, let me just run this one and you will see the navigation was mentioned there, evaluation manager. So see, look at this. Unfortunately, it wasn't done automatically, but that's at least a good thing though, so that you can see also how I will apply uh, a dynamic list of value out of this job IDs, location, and department ID. And now this is the master. This is the master employee. Now, since we did the manager, employee to manager, we'll see how we can see the master details. Oh, some errors coming now. Right. I believe that we have done pretty much like, okay, so this is not supposed to be done because I believe that we have linked that one into, right, it's not supposed to happen if the table reference, yes, I remember because I have added, right, I have added barely without a data, somewhere there and without a data, especially in the evaluation. All right, especially on the evaluation. Okay, okay, especially on the evaluation. So which means I might force now to have it with the primary key because we are now having this problem at the moment. But let me try to make this one one if it will work. I will make this one one. At least only one data will come correctly. Yes, because it's we have set a row ID actually. Okay, it's already done uniquely. So this is one. This is otherwise. If let me check once again. So this is the problem in the row ID. If I haven't done perfectly with um, X series of sequence, and you might be having a problem with that because I was about to import that column, that column with the data, right? But I started working with automatic primary key. Yes, I can see that. Let me check that. Okay, okay. So the evaluation is 22 over here. Hopefully, one of these should work from King. Okay, it's still not because it wasn't work with primary key. So most likely, okay. So what we should do is only want to redo the primary key instead of the row ID. So that would be it. And for now, we are now running out of time. And the thing is here, we could not populate this one. Otherwise, we have to perfectly work with this. Maybe we'll try to evaluation from employee. Okay, we'll try that one though. Right. Okay, let's create a new page, and that would be mastered page. And okay, if you want to see also some other design of master details, say let's start with this stocks. You will see a single page. Okay, but this would be a typical normal page with the breadcrumb for now. Okay, master details and just link it to our home as a breadcrumb. Okay, now let's try to work now with this evaluation, but it would be for employee. Okay, employee. Okay. Okay, let me just create a new navigation, but this time, okay, this is master. I'll just write master here. Okay, this time, okay, still our master is all the time our employee. No, okay, this one. Raw ID was been given here, but for now, since we have done employee number as considered to be unique, okay, we will hold that one as unique, but we have to follow same thing also with another relationship here later, which is, okay, so that's only, okay, so with no, okay, 1 second, okay, right. See, this one is apex underscore eval. Mhm. Actually, it was not showing there, right? And it was employee number, right? So literally now, this is, okay, I'm sorry. Master is employee number, the detail will evaluation ID. Okay, see. Hopefully, we now be carry on another set of primary key, which is employee to employee no, because hardly we have done differently from the last evaluation, because we have make it as a manual eval ID, which is the raw ID will not be working within the importing features of this. Okay, now let me create this one and should be run in no time. And hopefully we could complete this one so that the last will be working with the report. And let's try this one now. Okay, it should have one employee there, and I think it works though, right? It works. So it works anyhow. So you can see that for now, it's having this evaluation, but only that needs a rating over here. Say, for example, okay, we will assign for this one, and then this managers, this are manager. By the way, what is this? Okay, this is also code and department. Okay, if you want to work with proper LOBs for this one, of course, department number are not department names are not visible to this one. We might create a new from scratch using a dynamic LOB. So we can edit the application, or we can go directly edit from their page. Only the thing is you have to go to this shared components actually. Otherwise, in the application page, you can see these shared components. So what we will do, at least let's create only some couple of different list of values. These components will be uh, creation of a list of value, but only unfortunately it only was made only on the application when we add that page on creation of upon creation of application. But this time we have to do it manually. So from scratch, by the way. So create a new list of value from scratch and click next. And suppose the name of the list of value is department name, dep name for now. Maybe later, and it should be dynamic because the moment we also include new record within the department table, it should be automatically populated from our LOB, which is a list of value object. And click next. And only we need to set as a table for now. And then, of course, we have to link that one to your department. Okay, department. Once we're creating a department list of value. Okay, so this would be the apex underscore department that holds the primary key and the department name. And the most important part here is the return value should be the number, and typical primary key of here. And the display is, of course, this display column will be the department name. So this is basically mentioned there in our table. Okay, now it was created. How we apply that one within your form or master details. Suppose this is the page number 8. This is page number 8. So if we edit this page, you will be seeing maybe about 2 regions somewhere there on the top and the bottom. We can also apply later here at the bottom who will be our evaluator. Say, for example, the department no here, edit the page. And then, of course, it will lead you to Page Designer. And then, of course, just browse it somewhere here in your master column, master region, by the way, and directly from department or dep underscore no. It was set by default as type as number field, but instead we will going to select that one as a select list. Select list. Okay. And for that, so we can now select this shared component and that name of that department name was, which I have created though, there, and then save and run, and then department name is already mentioned. Okay. So um, nearly it's almost 2 p.m. I'm about to complete now my presentation on till 1:50. So just to have a final recap, of course, that Oracle Apex are are giving some more advanced capability, even if you are an advanced user, not only with just a minute of application development, but of course the learning of our Oracle Apex will really satisfy the real customer once that they have created this application. So for both mission critical application will serve almost even thousands of years. It is pretty much as a well-established company, of course. How big is Oracle is, and most powerful
Thank you so
low-code.
much, sir.
Yes, thank
Hello,
you
sir.
very much.
May I
And
call on Dr. Chandra Paul?
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sir Ansel. Sir Ansel, thank you for your time
welcome,
and talk
sir.
for
Let
this
me
webinar
just
of Apex. Really, your knowledge sharing was interesting and innovative and also interactive, overcoming all the types of troubleshooting. Now, I open the session for question and answers, please. Dear participants, any questions, you can type in the chat box. If no questions are there, just fill in the feedback form so that your valuable suggestions are needed. And now over to Sir Azim Qureshi, sir. Vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of IT section of IT department at University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Salalah, I, Mohammad Azim Qureshi, would like to thank our Dean, Mohammad Al Mamri, Assistant Dean, Academics, Dr. Nasir Al Kalbani, and Head of IT Department, Dr. Fatma Al Shanfari, for their continuous support and encouragement. The program was really fruitful to keep ourselves updated with the latest developments in the field of information technology. Many thanks for our today's facilitator, Mr. Hansel, and I would like to thank Database Specialization in Charge, Mr. Bhaskar, for his dedicated support and guidance. I am grateful for all the participants and attendees. Lastly, I appreciate HR committee, Ms. Melissa and her team for all the efforts to arrange this successful event. Have a good day to all present here. Please be here for the feedback and help us to improve. Over to Ms. Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Melissa, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sir Hansel. It has been a very good opportunity for us to learn the Oracle Apex. We have learned a lot from your session today, and we are hoping someday again we can continue with this session. For now, we would like to invite everyone to answer the feedback form that is now in the chat box, or you may use the QR code here to get the feedback form as well as your e-certificate. Again, once again, thank you, Database Specialization and Sir Hansel, for having this webinar for the IT staff and other staff from the college. So thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you, one and all.